All right. What's going on, everyone? Happy Halloween. I know you guys are probably out doing stuff, things like that. Hope you guys are enjoying your Halloween. I just got done. I showered, things like that. I got done with my Halloween festivities, so just thought I would record this and just kind of give an update on where we're at on our classic team pools. So I know that the classic teams, they just finished their week 9. You guys probably saw the last video of that, which is the 0102 Kings and the 7071 Bucks. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to check it out. We got a lot of cool stuff going on there. And yeah, I'll go ahead and get started on some of the um, classic teams, just kind of see where they're at the moment. We'll start off with the pool one. Here's the standings currently for that. And here's the latest week, just in case if you guys are missed on any of these. I didn't post any of these, so you guys didn't see any of these videos, but I'll just kind of recap so you guys are caught up to speed. Right now, the top team in this division is the 0102 Nets, led by Jason Kidd, Kenyon Martin, um, Richard Jefferson, Keith Van Horn, etc., etc. Right? They're on the top of the division right now. The only reason that they are is because the Supersonics did have a bye week. Right, so there is that. And I believe the Supersonics and the Nets have already faced off, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if I can go back and find that out. Yeah, right here. The Nets did beat them, so the Nets do have the tiebreaker over the Supersonics. So there is that. And then other than that, we got a couple 6-2 teams, 97 Spurs, 98 Knicks, the 13 Spurs, and the 04 Spurs. So you'll notice the trend. Spurs are slowly ganging up on those top two teams, no matter which Spurs team it is. Um, then yeah, everything else, the Knicks are up there. Knicks are trying to get back up there. The Mavericks, who I think had a slow start, but they're climbing up back. The 1819 Raptors have been a little lackluster as of late, so a little interesting there. D Rose's Bulls are at 5-4. Pau Gasol's Grizzlies at 4-5. Stockton Malone at 3-6. Bill Russell and the Celtics are at 2-6. Um, then Marc Gasol and Conley, they're at 2-7. And then Suns, led by Sean Marion and Stoudemire. Um, and then the two winless teams, the teams who have not won a game yet, are the Raptors, led by Vince Carter, and the 85 Bulls, very young Michael Jordan team, right? So they're still there at 0-9. So, yeah, I mean, pretty competitive at the top. Anything could kind of change. Most of the Spurs and the 98 Knicks are just kind of waiting to see if any of these teams are going to lose, that being the next Nets and Supersonics. Just kind of an outlook on next week on what to expect for these teams. Um, the 04 Spurs do play against the Grizzlies. So obviously the Grizzlies are trying to move up there and the Spurs are trying to stay in contention, right? So we want to make sure we have that. The Jazz and Bulls, not really too much at stake here. The Bulls are just trying to win a game, and the Jazz are just trying to stay in the middle, I think, at this point. So we're trying to make sure they have that. The Raptors are really trying to get back up, but they got to beat the Knicks, which this Knicks team has been a little surprising. And I'll show all the stats that I've kept all the stats on a Google sheet, so I'll show you guys all that, so you guys are caught up to speed on that. But yeah, right now the Knicks that Knicks team's been really surprising because they've played better than the 11-12 Knicks, which normally people would think that it would be reversed, right? Because the 11-12 Knicks generally have a little bit more talent. Now, that isn't to say that the 98 Knicks don't. Patrick Ewing, Latrell Sprewell, I mean, those are still really good players that they had to compete, right? But I mean, the 11-12 Knicks had Carmelo Anthony, and I mean, J.R. Smith was relatively good in that team, and Jeremy Lin is on that team as well. That was that Linsanity era. So, um, I'll kind of show you the stats. There are some points in which Jeremy Lin does kind of go with that Lin sanity, but he's also been kind of hit or miss there. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at the moment. The 11-12 Knicks do play Pau Gasol's Grizzlies, so that's not a game that they can take for granted because the Grizzlies are 4-5, so they have won some games in there, right? I think last week they beat the 85 Bulls pretty badly too. They scored 166 points. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff there. But then the Suns, who haven't played that well, are against the 97 Spurs, who have played really well, but that's because they've got the front court of Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So that team was generally going to play pretty well because front courts are, even in NBA 2K, no matter how much that I tried to like balance the simulation and like the sliders and all that stuff, for having a good front court is still gonna generally win you games. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at there. D Rose's Bulls are playing against Vince Carter and the Raptors. Again, I don't think the D Rose Bulls can take this one too much for granted. I mean, I know that the Raptors are 0-9, but they've been in some close games, some games that they probably should have won. So just kind of keep that out there. I mean, the Raptors team is not bad, but um, in simulation, because that Raptors team does have Muggsy Bogues, right? So whenever a team does have Muggsy Bogues, especially in 2K, he's kind of a defensive liability um in like the simulations. So not, I mean, Muggsy Bogues still dishes the rock, still passes the ball. You'll still end up with like 9, 10 assists, no big deal. But that is something that in simulation does kind of kill them. So, but I'll show you Vince Carter's stats because he's not the reason why they're losing. I'll tell you that. But then you got the 13-14 Spurs against the 10-11 Mavericks. That game should be interesting. I know the Mavericks are 5-3, and the Spurs team are 6-2. So, right there, anyone could kind of take the cake there. So it'll be very interesting to see with that battle. See where they're at. And then the Supersonics play Bill Russell and the Celtics. So that will be an interesting one because the Celtics started off like 1-1 or 2-1 or something like that. And then yeah, just haven't really been able to prolong that success. So trying to keep that success going. But I mean, the Supersonics are as hot of a team as anyone right now. So then the Nets have the bye week. So that's what we're looking at right now for Classic Team Pool 1. I didn't record any of those games. The first games that you saw for basketball were the Classic Team Pool 2. So we'll see that right now. I'll go ahead and pull up Classic Team Pool 2. So right now, the 06 Wizards still on top. For those who saw that video, um, the 15-16 Warriors did take care of the undefeated Wizards. So there's that there. So, I mean, everyone when I was posting on Instagram, because I do post the polls on Instagram. So if you do want to kind of get involved in that community, feel free to follow my Instagram tag that I have. Now I'll put that in the description and it's on my channel as well. So you can click on my channel profile, see that there as well. But when I was doing the polls, nobody was fooled about the undefeated Wizard thing. Everyone was picking the 15-16 Warriors, and rightfully so. I mean, they are one of the greatest, if not the greatest team of all time. So right now, looks like 95-96 Bulls have that over the Warriors. They did. I wish I had recorded that video. But the 15-16 Warriors and the 95 Bulls already played each other, and the Bulls won by 6. So really cool. And they won in Golden State. So at Oracle Arena. So that was cool to kind of see that. But some other games here. Guess what are ones of notes? The Warriors did take care of the Lakers. So the Warriors, I'm talking about the Run TMC Warriors here. They beat the 90-91 Lakers, which I will say this Warriors team started off like 0-4 or something like that, but they have turned it around. They're now at 4-5 now. So they are doing pretty well with that. So I am interested to kind of see where they go from there. But other ones that I'm looking at, Pistons beating the Nuggets was actually an interesting one because the Nuggets then fall below 500. And then the Pistons, who haven't done too well overall, are moving up. So, and then the 95-96 Bulls took care of LeBron's Cavs. So that was a Jordan LeBron battle. And Jordan won by 5. So not really too much of a fair matchup just because Jordan was a little bit more experienced at that point than LeBron was. But either way, the two goats, however you want to go there, they did battle. That was the first video that I dropped for basketball. Yeah, you'd probably didn't want to see this one anyway. Then Michael Jordan versus Michael Jordan matchup. That wasn't this one wasn't all too interesting. I'm not gonna lie to you, but yeah. So we'll have to see kind of where it goes and here a little outlook on the next week. Another Jordan v. Jordan matchup, 92 Bulls versus the 95 Bulls. So that'll be intriguing to see who wins that. Then another Bulls team. I don't know how this happened, but when I was randomizing all these teams into their divisions, a lot of the Jordan teams ended up together. Interesting, but that's just kind of how it played out. And we got another Jordan team playing the 03 Pistons, which that will be interesting. Then LeBron and KG face off. So that'll be a cool matchup there. The Warriors play against Dikembe Mutombo and the Nuggets. I'd be shocked if the Nuggets. I mean, we'll have to see how they play. It depends on the defense that they play against the Warriors because if they're able to play defense against their shooters, which that's been the real trick, especially against like Klay Thompson or something like that. That's really who's been the catalyst for this Warriors team in this season has been Klay Thompson's ability to get open consistently throughout the game. So that'll be something to check out there. And then the 76ers play the Knicks. So got Walt Frazier's Knicks versus Allen Iverson Sixers. So that'll be cool to see there. Allen Iverson did take the win. They've been a little inconsistent as of late. They would win a bunch of games in a row and then lose a bunch of games in a row. So the Sixers are really trying to gain momentum. So we'll see if they could do that against Walt Frazier's Knicks, who are really just trying to buy a win. They really are. They almost got one against the 70 Lakers, which for those who saw that game, you know that they almost won there. So really close. But yeah, they're gonna try and take another win because again, as we start going towards more of these weeks, it's gonna get really tight for the last two teams. Since there are 17 teams, I will have if they end up with the same record, that is, if they end up with the same record, I'll just have them do like a kind of a play-in game to go into the playoffs. So kind of see how that goes. But yeah. And then the Wizards trying to rebound against their first loss of the season as they play Run TMC Warriors, who are honestly doing they're a really hot team right now, playing really well. So we'll have to see where that goes. And then Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain and the Lakers taking on Sidney Moncrief and the Bucks, which again, the Bucks team's really struggling. They're really trying to buy a win, and they have only been seen to buy one, and they got absolutely destroyed by Dwayne Wade's Heat. So that was bad. But yeah, and speaking of, you got the Suns and the Heat facing off as well. The Suns and the Heat both playing pretty well, but the Suns are really trying to win this game because then they would have the tiebreaker over the Heat if that need be. Because if you could see right there in the standings, they are 4 and 5, seeds. So they're right there. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then the 90 Lakers have the bye week. They need it. They are 2 and 7 right now. So yeah, just kind of where that is going. But yeah, just kind of, feel free when I'm posting these games. Let me know, kind of send your reactions in the comments if you want to. Just kind of be like, oh, dang, I didn't, kind of keep the interaction going. I like to see that interaction and just kind of see what you guys think about this stuff. Think like what you guys think about where this is going. But yeah, we'll move on to pool 3 here. Let's see what we got. Okay. Pool 3, we've got the standings here. The '06 Warriors, surprisingly enough, are on top, followed closely by the 16-17 Warriors, right? Which, to be honest, the 16-17 Warriors have kind of creeped up in here a little bit. They haven't really made too much noise, to be honest. At least when I'm recording these, they're not really making like a whole lot of like noise and statements and stuff. They're kind of just winning their games quietly, moving on up. Because the team that's really been like making a lot of noise has been the 97-98 Lakers, which I mean, look at this first game. I mean, just geez, 127-73, just destroyed the Hornets. Which to be fair, the Hornets are bad. Like they played really bad. I mean, Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson and Muggsy Bogues again have played extremely bad. So really, really sad for them. But because I mean, I go to UNLV and Larry Johnson's like praised here. And it's kind of sad to see him get absolutely destroyed like this. But yeah, that's what's going on there. The 94 Magic have been right there, 5-3. They're also another one. They win games. And even if they lose games, it's not by much. So really, kind of being, quietly moving up. The Pacers, who started off really good, Paul George's Pacers, which they're at a disadvantage because the 2K that I use, I don't use 2K25, I use 2K24 solely because a lot of the players like Derrick Rose, Andre Iguodala, there was a point, and I don't know if they're in the game again now or in 25, and I don't know how that's working right now, but um, at start they weren't in the game, so I was like, okay, so couldn't, 2K24 is basically it's the 2K where they're all most of them are in the game, but the Pacers are also missing players like Lance Stevenson, Sullivan Hill, key players in their role, like their role players. And so it forces them to put a lot of fake players in there, which that's the downfall of a lot of the older teams and things like that. But yeah, so the Pacers started off hot, but I mean, they're kind of cooling off a little bit. And the Celtics, who started off bad, the '07 Celtics are really trying to make a comeback there. Again, I was expecting a little bit more of a fight from the Mellow Nuggets as they've been playing pretty well at 5-3. But the 16 Warriors just had no problem taking them out. So there's that there. And then the '06 Warriors again took care of business against the Trailblazers. Now, this game, if you watched it, it was really close. So we'll have to see how that affects the Blazers going forward. But the Blazers again, 1-8. They're a team that competes for a while, and then I don't know what they fall apart in the fourth quarter. I don't know what it is. That's just what happens. They fall apart in the fourth quarter. But yeah, and then we had a LeBron v. LeBron matchup, his Heat and his Cavaliers teams. So if you watch that, you watch the LeBron versus LeBron matchup. That game was good because they actually matched up against each other. So that was really cool to see that. And how these teams had like the lead for a while at one point. So it was interesting, but it was nice to see the 12 Heat take the cake there. They moved to 5-3 at the same record as the Cavaliers. You'll notice the trend. A lot of these teams are the same record. Um, so kind of no margin for error for a lot of these teams as they try to move up, but it leaves room for some of the competitors like the bottom here. 91 Trailblazers, Lakers, Bulls, Knicks, especially the Knicks, right? Leaves room for the Knicks to compete and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, then the 97 Bulls took care of business against the Lakers. 64 Lakers, who really haven't had an answer for anything, but you also can't blame them considering that that they literally have a 3-point line. Or don't have a 3-point line, I'm sorry. But yeah, so we got that going. And then the '07 Rockets and the '94 Knicks, that was a matchup that I was very intrigued to watch. and it was back and forth for most of the game. But then the Rockets just kind of took care of business because McGrady and Yao Ming, they're kind of one of the biggest what if stories in the NBA because if both of them were healthy at the same time consistently, we would see a lot of good wins. And so I'm seeing the Rockets are all up in there. Um, yeah, and that's kind of just what we're looking at so far. For an outlook to team, this is kind of an unimportant game. The Hornets can get a win, that'd be crazy. But the 88-89 Bulls, again, they only have one win, so it's kind of, whatever there. Um, this one will be intriguing, classic Lakers Celtics matchup, but in different years. So you got the 97 Lakers with young Kobe Bryant, who's a six man. If you guys watched their game against the Hornets, he's a six man, comes off the bench. And then the Celtics, who got a nice win over the Pacers. So they're really trying to put that momentum in good use, trying to go back to 500. We'll see if they can do that because this Lakers team 7-2. They played pretty good. And then you got the Magic and the Nuggets. That'll be intriguing. Nuggets, horrible loss um, against the 16 Warriors. So they're really gonna have to bounce back. See if they can do that against Penny and Shaq. And then the Pacers, again, trying to rekindle that fire they had in the beginning, but they're going to play the best team in the division, Baron Davis and his 06 Warriors. Now, this one will be good. This is the 15-16 Cavaliers against the 16-17 Warriors. So we got LeBron facing off against that very powerful Warriors team. So that'll be cool to see. And then this game has the potential to be good. Maybe it's a chance for Clyde Drexler and the Blazers to actually get a win here against the Lakers. So that'll be cool. Or the Lakers can capture their first win of the season, one or the other. So you got that. The Knicks. I know I said the Knicks are trying to make come back into the rankings, but they're gonna have a tough matchup against the Heat. This Heat team is stacked, as we know. So that'll be a good one there. And then last week, the Showtime Lakers had the bye week. So that'll be really cool because now they're coming back and they're playing Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming. Perfect team to face when they're coming back. So that'll be really cool to see where that goes. And yeah, that's Classic Teams Pool 3. I'll move on to our last one, Pool 4, and that'll be kind of the last of our update. And then I'll show you guys the stats and all that stuff there. But the only undefeated team remaining across all the divisions, 96 Heat. I know it's shocking, but they have consistently put together great wins on a consistent, just like really on a consistent basis. They've really been, I don't know, just like their chemistry's been really good in this simulation. I'm not too sure why. I mean, I guess Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning and Don Marley have been a nice trio, I guess. But that's just kind of where they're at. But yeah, looking at some of the recaps. The 0203 Mavericks, 8990 Cavaliers actually was really popular in my poll that I posted on YouTube. So again, I post polls on YouTube and then I post like a picture poll on Instagram. Right. So if you want to be a part of those communities, again, you can subscribe here or you can, follow on Instagram or do both, whatever it is you want to do. But yeah, so that was a really popular one. The Mavericks, Cavaliers, but the Cavaliers, they've been shocking because they started off bad. They were kind of like the TMC Run TMC Warriors. And then they really moved up. So it's cool to see. And then the Pistons, the Bad Boy Pistons, the 03 Lakers. The Bad Boy Pistons, again, they kind of been hit or miss. They're 3-6 right now. There was a time in which they were in this game, but the 03-04 Lakers were too much for them. And the Lakers have also kind of been inconsistent too. At 5-4, you would expect that team to be a little bit better. Kobe, Shaq, they got Gary Payton, Karl Malone, I mean, obviously just like how it was in reality, like you're expecting a championship from that team, right? That's how you expect them to play, but it's been interesting. They haven't been able to really pull it together all the time. But you see when they do pull it together, they're beating teams by 20. So again, kind of interesting. And then this Celtics Blazers game, my lord, this game. If you guys want to watch it because this was like the ultimate scoring matchup that I think I've ever seen. Um, and and again, it's not like I juice the simulation like sliders or anything like that because I mean some of these players, like most of them are scoring numbers that they normally would on any given day. But what's interesting is that these two, I'm talking Larry Bird and Brandon Roy, they were on it from the jump, just on it. And I mean, I'll show you guys the stats, but I think Larry Bird ended up with like 89 and Brandon Roy ended up with like 92. It was crazy. That was probably one of the craziest scoring battles I've ever seen. So yeah, but the Celtics ended up winning that game, which was huge actually for them because they stay alive. They could easily come in and make a nice run for themselves to end the season. So that's something that they really needed. The Blazers, on the other hand, that was a killer, like bad loss because then they move out of 500. They go below 500. So now they have to like they have to crawl behind and they have to start winning to go back up. So because there was at one point where the 09 and 10 Blazers were up there at the top of the leaderboards. But I mean, again, they've just I don't know what it was. They kind of fall off the side a little bit. They lost to Lob City the week before, so that was kind of again just kind of something that's been interesting to see. But the other Blazers team has remained as hot as ever. They're 8-1 right now, tied with the 0102 Kings for second place. Both of them are just kind of waiting for the Heat to fail. So have to see what happens there. But yeah, they took care of business against the Hawks, who really haven't been able to kindle much. They're always playing from behind, and they can never really seem to get any good consistent scoring. Because Dominique Wilkins, while he's there, he'll vanish a lot of times, and he's not like the most reliable source for points at times. So either he has to, you know, be more consistent, or somebody else has to come in and help him out. Which normally you want somebody to help you out, in case you're struggling. But yeah, that's kind of how it is. But and again, 96 Heat able to stay undefeated against Lob City. I was questioning this a little bit because I didn't know if the Clippers were going to take that win or if they were gonna, I didn't know. So, but it was interesting because this game went back and forth. If you watch the game, they went back and forth a little bit for a while, and then the Heat just kind of, I don't know what the Heat just get on these runs where they're just unstoppable for like 5, 6 minutes. And I don't know what it is, like just barrage of threes, you know, dunks, layups, the mid it doesn't matter. Fadeaways, like they get everything. And they're just on that run. And then on top of that, they play great defense for like 5 minutes at a time. And it's been insane to see that. So yeah, got that. 2001 Lakers took care of business against Dr. J and Sixers, who again, the Sixers actually they week one, they played the 11-12 Thunder and they won in overtime. Dr. J was on a mission that game and they won in overtime. So that was cool there. But ever since then, big like a lot of losing streaks. Haven't seemed to win much, but they won one other game. But other than that, they've been very quiet. So and they didn't really stand much of a chance here. The Laker team just had their way the entire game. And really, I mean, that was kind of the same way with this game here, the Thunder and Rockets, but the Rockets were more in it for a while. And then after a while, just I don't know what it is, but with that team, Vernon Maxwell has kind of been the liability at times. And I know when you see a stat sheet, you're gonna be like, what, that doesn't make any sense. Like, but that's because I don't put in the field goal like percentage in there. I just put their straight up just straight stats, but um yeah, he shoots very poorly. That's all I'm gonna say. So that's kind of been their downfall for a little bit. They won't give it to Akeem, or he'll just shoot it and it's not good. So yeah, that's how I was going there. But and then last game of week 9, Kings and Bucks. This one, which was the one I just posted yesterday. So if you want to check that out, it's live. You can watch it now. But the Kings kind of had their way with Milwaukee. They didn't really, I mean, again, Milwaukee didn't really put up much of a fight. The big catalyst for the Kings has been Bobby Jackson and their point guards. They've had a lot of point guard help between him, Mike Bibby, Jason Williams. They've had really good help throughout. It's been very interesting to see that. But yeah, that's kind of what the how the brackets have been so far for the classic teams. What we look forward to for pool 4, the Mavericks and Lakers facing off. Again, Lakers just looking to build off of their last win, while the Mavericks, again, struggling 1-8, really trying to just get a win in here. Now the Cavaliers, this one might be interesting. It might be sneaky interesting because normally you look at this and you think, well, the Blazers have that. But right now, they're at the same record. They're at 9, like seeds 9 and 10 at both 4 and 5. So this is an important one because whoever wins this one is going to move up into the middle, like start moving in the high middle pack, right? Because then a lot of that will depend on the games that the Bucks and the Clippers play, and even the Lakers for that matter, right? If the Mavericks can somehow beat the Lakers, then all of a sudden then that changes everything too. So looking at that there. Bad Boy Pistons playing the 99 Blazers. Again, Blazers have been playing out of their minds. Did not expect them to be this good. And the Bad Boy Pistons, who are still one of those sneaky teams, kind of like the Celtics. They're a sneaky team that could still come in and make some moves, right? So they're not out of it just yet. 3 and 6 still have plenty of time to make a move, make a run. So we'll see where that goes there. But the Celtics, I know I said they can build off that big win they had, but they have a problem because they're facing the undefeated team and the 96 Heat. So, and it's going to be in Miami. So it's really going to be tough for them to get a win there, which that's their challenge to beat the undefeated Heat, which that would send shockwaves around this bracket if they beat this team, because then that opens the door for the Blazers team that I just mentioned and the 0102 Kings, who are playing the Lakers down there, 2001 Lakers, which that will be an interesting game too, because that has a little bit of history there. This game, bottom feeder game, not really that important in the grand scheme of things, but just kind of helps the bottom of the bracket. I will say all these teams are going to make the playoffs because they're the only 16 team division. So none of these teams have to worry about not making the playoffs. Their only issue is seeding, right? So they're just kind of, let's see, whoever is last has to play the 96 Heat in a best of 4 game series or a 7 game series. So that's gonna be no team wants to do that. So, and if they have the same record right now, 3 teams have the same record in the Rockets, Mavs, and Hawks. At this point, let me know what you think would be best. If you'd rather have them if you'd rather have the bottom 2 do a play-in for the placing, or if you just want it, because right now it's sorted based off point differential. So if you think that's fair, if you think point differential is fair, then we'll just keep it like that. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Lob City going against Hakeem Olajuwon and the Rockets. So again, Rockets is trying to buy a win, while the Clippers are actually trying to make a move up to the top of the bracket. So trying to do that. This game, like I said, that'll be intense as this team has history. Even though the Lakers are still a year before, it's pretty much close to the same team a year later. So that'll be interesting to see. If you guys don't know their history, Google it. But a lot of interesting history between those era teams of the Lakers and Kings. Yeah, and then we got Milwaukee Bucks and the Thunder. Milwaukee Bucks have kind of, yeah, they're at 5-4 right now, which the Thunder are at 6-3. So like I said, if the Bucks are able to pull a win together, they've been a dark horse team. So they've won a bunch of key games against key teams, but then will fall apart against other teams, right? So they're a dark horse team. It kind of just depends. And the Thunder, on the other hand, been more consistent as of late. They started off a little bit slow, but they've been more consistent as of late. So, but yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at right now for the brackets. I'll show you guys before my computer dies. I'll show you guys some of these statistics here. So here's Celtics, right? Bill Russell playing really well, but other than that, Sam Jones, I'm sorry, has been kind of on and off. So with that there, the Lakers, really, it's really been Jerry West. Elgin Baylor's played really well too. I'll give him that, but he's kind of trailed off the past couple games. So it's been interesting to see. Now this Bucks team, they're in it because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has played amazing, like amazing. And then even Oscar Robertson, let's give him credit too, because man, they've both been carrying the team. And then some surprising games from Lucius Allen. You get those 18 points in there. It's like a third option, right? So he's in there a little bit. So yeah, then you got 70-71 Lakers. Again, Jerry West's show. Will Chamberlain's there for most of the games. Sometimes he doesn't show up, but Jerry West seems like he always shows up. And I'll also mark when players get injured. It very rarely happens because it's 2K simulation, but every now and then it happens. So if players get injured, I will note it on there. So, and then Knicks, again, just Walt Frazier playing well. I think just the problem is that he doesn't get a lot of help or consistent help. David DeBusschere's sometimes there. Jerry Lucas is sometimes there, but I mean, Willis Reed, he doesn't play. He comes off the bench because Jerry Lucas plays center. That's where they play him. And then they put David DeBusschere at power forward. Interesting setup. Willis Reed, I personally think he should get a little bit more playing time because, I mean, you can see he's not really contributing all that much on the point section. Now, he is playing amazing defense, I will say, but, sometimes you got to change things up a little bit, but we'll see. And then 76ers, I mean, just Dr. J doing his thing. George McGinnis is usually there too. So, I mean, a lot of it's just because, again, they have their 1 and 2. It's not a problem. I just think sometimes they rely on some players and a little bit inconsistent. Like World Be Free will have these 31-point games. Then he had like last week where he had 6. It's not going to do you any good. But they also don't play Daryl Dawkins, which I think is an interesting thing. Some of these teams you'll see they kind of cycle their centers, their big men. So right now they have Caldwell Jones playing center, which I mean not a bad thing. He's tall guy, grabs a lot of rebounds, but kind of have to wonder, if maybe if Gerald Dawkins came in, there might be some change of pace. Might be interesting to see, but I don't know. The Bucks, again, honestly, it's been Terry Cummings has been the guy. He's been the man for them. He almost got a triple double a couple games ago. So yeah, and then Sidney Moncrief, I mean, week 1 was abysmal. Came back, got a nice game. He's been pretty good other than that. Has some 15, 16 points there, and I know like that's good, but obviously when you're the number 1 player on the team, you expect a little bit more from the number 1 player on the team. But right now, Terry Cummings is being the offensive workhorse. with this team, which might be the reason why they're not winning as many games. But then you got the 85 Bulls, which again, it's Michael Jordan's show, and everyone else is just hoping they win. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at there. And then the 85-86 Celtics are, it's very interesting. Just, I mean, you see the game that they have there. It's 85 that Larry Bird had. See, one second. Yeah, I mean, Robert Parrish has been good for a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, just doing that. And then, yeah, and I won't go through all of these. So if you guys want me to go over certain teams, let me know. I mean, 95, 96 Bulls. Got that there. Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan. Keep up most of the workload there. But yeah, I'll keep it at that. If you guys want a more in-depth look at some of these, I'll go over that. Also, I did want to bring up as well, I will be, or I do have a bracket for baseball that I've been doing on MLB The Show, and I've mixed legend players in with the current teams. So if you want to see that, let me know. Just put it in the comments, things like that, and I'm happy to put that out for you guys. I haven't been doing it because I just don't know how it will receive that, and it may take a while for the games and stuff. So yeah, but I'll leave you guys with that. If you guys want to see more of this, feel free to let me know. And thank you guys all for the support. I know our channel is growing big time in the view category. But if you guys want to keep engaged, again, follow the Instagram for the polls, and feel free to kind of subscribe and watch the games and react to them in the comments. Just kind of whatever you want to do. But yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.